Comrade Camilla's tie-breaking IRA vote broke Medicare. She's covering it up with the taxpayer-funded bailout. So their terrible policy, the Inflation Reduction Act, which she cast a tie-breaking vote for, end up making it's going to make premiums go up for Medicare. And so their terrible policy decisions that they continue to make, like every single policy thing that they come out with, end up hurting the average American. And they want to try to fix it by spending more money, more taxpayer money, which will make inflation rise even further and won't even fix the problem. They just try to throw money at it and continue to raise taxes and continue to raise inflation. And then they're gonna say, oh, we can fix it again by spending more money, which is just idiotic. I don't know how they're coming up with these policies. But we're gonna talk a little bit about it. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon. That's where I talk about things that I can't talk about here. There's also a link to my Instagram and my X account as well. So follow me there as well. All right, so let's talk about this news. Now, this comes from Breitbart News. Who is the author here? I always try to give credit to the author. It says, by Americans for Limited Government. And they report that there's an old joke in Washington that the vice president has only two responsibilities. The first is to ask the president how well he's feeling that day. And the second is to break ties in the Senate. Job number one is now moot, as Democrats have undemocratically ousted President Joe Biden from re-election and installed Vice President Kamala Harris. And job number two is one that Harris probably wants to cover up rather than brag about. 2 years ago, Harris's vote broke the 50-50 tie on the Inflation Reduction Act, the IRA, a key part of the Biden-Harris administration's investing in America agenda. And y'all remember, I've done video. You can go look it up right now. I've done a video on before they even passed this law. I said this is not an inflation reduction bill. This is, in fact, an inflation increase bill. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. Inflation has not gotten any better. It has gotten worse. And then government's reaction to this is more spending. So despite her not so transparent attempt recently to run away from Biden, she owns the IRA. The White House recently put out a fact sheet on how its, quote, accomplishments have saved the world from the climate crisis. Again, nothing about inflation. Even left-wing outlets acknowledged that the legislation had no impact on inflation, which tripled when Biden took office and is still higher than it ever was under Trump or Obama, who hasn't shared the trick to low inflation, while he's puppet mastering things. Americans know that everything has become more expensive under Biden and Harris: gas, groceries, housing. But perhaps the worst impact the IRA had was breaking health care for American seniors, spurring the biggest spike in Medicare Part D premiums ever. The premiums are the highest it has ever been. Mind you, we keep seeing what's her name? John Marie Pierre, whatever her name is, doing interviews and stuff, talking about how they're bringing down Medicare costs and all this other stuff. Outright lies. The IRA rewrote Medicare Part D, changing it from a program that relied on markets and competition, free market, what the United States is supposed to be founded in, to keep costs down, to a command and control style program with price controls set by bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. Again, they love price controls. I'm trying to tell you, Harris is a communist. She wants price control. She admits to that. But then she sent her surrogates out and say, no, that's not what's going on. we don't really want price controls. That's not what this really is. It is price controls. And the consequences have been devastating. For the 50 million Americans enrolled in Medicare Part D, after 15 years of stability, premiums went up more than 20% in 2024 and are expected to increase by almost 50% in 2025. Wow. So seniors that voted for Biden, y'all voted for this. That's all of y'all that's on Medicare. Y'all voted for this. And here's the latest. To temporarily defray the premium hikes on seniors right before the election, the Biden-Harris administration is bailing out Part D insurers with billions in taxpayer dollars to conceal the increases. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS, is calling it a premium stabilization for standalone prescription drug plans, the full details of which have been spelled out in an excellent report by Paragon Health Institute. Meanwhile, the Wall Street Journal denounces this as, quote, a backdoor way for Democrats to ration access to costly drugs. The paper's editorial board continued, quote, CMS's intervention is another example of how the IRA will cost far more than Democrats claim. Nobody knows how much more, since CMS isn't doing a normal rule making that requires a cost analysis, because they don't want us to know. It's so bad that they don't want to do a cost analysis because it will show how terrible the IRA really was. Thankfully, leading Republican lawmakers have asked the Congressional Budget Office, CBO, to do one. This week, House Budget Committee Chairman Jody Arrington and Senate Budget Committee Ranking Member Chuck Grassley, along with House Energy and Commerce Committee Chair Kathy McMorris Rogers, House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Jason Smith, and Senate Finance Committee Ranking Member Mike Crapo penned a letter demanding more details on the CMS bailout, which Democrats call a demonstration program. Quote, because of Democrats' push partisan policy making in the IRA, American seniors now face skyrocketing premiums for prescription drug coverage next year. The Republicans said this will constrict their choices when making health coverage decisions for next year. To cover up rising premiums ahead of November, the Biden-Harris administration announced a new demonstration program which will buy down premium increases by sending billions of taxpayer dollars directly to large insurance companies, they said. These all seem like important issues to sort out in a complicated program that provides for the health and wellness of 50 million Americans. But rather than provide accountability on Medicare price controls, Harris is threatening more price controls on as much of the economy as she can get her hands on. That's what I was just alluding to. As if we needed one more reason to want Donald Trump back in the White House. Price controls don't work. It stifles competition and lowering costs. That's exactly why it's going to go up 50%. This IRA thing was a bad deal from the start. We tried to warn people, but they didn't listen. And now, look, premiums are going up, even though they try to pretend like it's not. But we know it's going up because that's the reason why they're trying to do this taxpayer-funded bailout. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe. And check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.